want to see how we do it in the pros?
Changing your swing is about repetition without repetition. You don't just hit 500 balls with this thing and change your swing. You also don't just hit 500 balls without a thought.
Welcome to Earned Not Given.
All right, so we got a lot to recap, but I guess first we should start and discuss the beatdown at Bay Hill. So there was a time in golf when everyone was saying, what's going to happen when Scottie Scheffler figures out his putter? Unfortunately for the entire PGA Tour, we figured out what's going to happen.
Yeah, being there this week was awesome, and seeing that live was kind of ridiculous. I mean, Thursday he didn't really have it putting-wise. Friday got better, but the weekend was unreal. And again, like you said, everyone said for the last however many months or year even, of the putting struggles of Scottie Scheffler. If he figures out how to putt, it's over. And damn, he figured it out this weekend.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And what I'm really excited about is the work that he's done with Phil Kenyon and how they've stuck to the same process. They continued to believe in what they were doing. It wasn't chopping and changing. It wasn't panic. Phil and Scottie and Ted, that team all agreed what they were doing was working, and they were willing to put in the time to reap the rewards. Pretty crazy to think that the last time we saw Scottie Scheffler holding a trophy was last year at the Players, right? An entire year. But that entire year of growth and learning and not panicking is now why the entire PGA Tour needs to be panicking.
Yeah, and I listened to his interview yesterday once he got to Sawgrass, and obviously everyone was asking about the putter change and how it led to that putter, and he kept talking about how he was messing up his line, whether it was lining it up with the putter or with the line of the ball. Usually on these podcasts, you and I talk about golf, but I think this is a perfect spot where you can talk about how people sometimes get line locked with whether it be the line of their putter or the ball, and the advantages of sometimes going from just going to no line. Scottie was talking about how he was starting to worry that if that line wasn't rolling end over end, that maybe he was hitting a bad putt. In reality, he probably wasn't, but he just wasn't there on the green. So maybe that's something you could talk about, something that somebody like me can take out to the course this weekend or something. Like, maybe sometimes it's good to not get line locked with the ball or with the line on the putter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a preference, right? Like, some players love to have a really clear and almost like ridiculously big line on their putter, and that gives them comfort. A lot of times you see the players that have that, they don't use a line on the ball. Then you see players that use a line on the ball but don't always have a score line in the putter. Maybe they just have a dot. It's rare that you see a player match the score line on the putter to the line on the ball and not at some point worry, is it all correct? And I think being free and comfortable with your aim is far more important than being correct, right? So I think what we see from Scottie, right? Ironically, Rory made the comment, hey, Scottie should switch to a mallet. I'd love to see him switch to a mallet, and he did. I don't think necessarily the technology of the putter obviously makes a huge impact, and I'm sure the sales of Spiders are going through the roof right now because the average golfer will benefit from a more stable putter, right? We could have an entire podcast on the reasons why maybe a mallet over a traditional blade or the technology that's in a lab putter. But the biggest thing I do agree with you is you have to trust what you have. Obviously, you're a Ricky guy. Ricky's pretty precise when he lines up the line, makes it very clear. Some people are a little too casual with that line. Then they, from behind, it looks good. Then they stand over it, they doubt it, and that's when you run into trouble. So if you're a player that's going to use a line, you need to be very trusting of that line. If you're a player that's going to use the putter to align yourself, you need to make sure that you know what you're aiming to, whether that be a gate or something that you visually see. And then it's about trusting that. It's not about trying to manipulate the face or doubt it. The more you can be comfortable, the more you can make putts. And what we saw with Scotty over the years, right? We all talk about his incredible year, right? Where he goes on to win Augusta, 4 putts, actually 18 to win Augusta. Maybe that's where some of the putting woes started. But what's really interesting is how comfortable he looks. To make every putt inside of 15 feet on Sunday is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know the answer. I'll try and get in touch with Phil and find out. But I think for the recreational golfer, being free, seeing the ball, trusting it, and having it go in is huge. Scotty started to make putts, and now what's it going to look like? We obviously have him defending at the place where if you hit it good and you putt good, you dominate. Is Scotty Scheffler about to run away with the Players?
So no one has won the Players back-to-back, maybe ever. If not, it's been a really long time where someone's defended it. So we'll have to check that stat. But with that, it's been not often on the PGA Tour guys win back-to-back, which is exactly why I think Scotty's probably going to win this week.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to not pick Scotty Scheffler, right? 5-1 odds. Obviously, that's like odds of Tiger back in the day, right? But Scotty's in such a good place. His interview after, where he's talking about, my Monday was the same, whether I won or lost. My family is the most important thing to me. And he's very grounded. I also think that he's also looking a few weeks ahead and thinking, hey, I need to continue to do the things that are going to allow me to win another green jacket. So for me, am I going to pick Scotty this week? I think that's the easy pick. But I actually, came here after coaching all morning. I'm starving. So I'm thinking about food, and I'm thinking we're going to let Minwoo cook this week. I think he said something about how it's his favorite golf course. He is trending in the right direction. The golf course sometimes doesn't suit the bomber, but if Minwoo gets cooking this week, I think it's going to get exciting. I'm a huge fan of him, so I would love to see him break out. I think the Players is one of those events where if the weather's good, anything can happen, but the cream does rise to the top. I don't believe that it's the 5th major, but it's obviously the PGA Tour's showcase. So this week, having a big-time player win is extremely important for the PGA Tour. So I'm going to go with Minwoo for sure. And then just so I'm not wrong, I'm going to say I would have picked Scotty, but it's too easy of a pick.
Let's keep Scotty off the board because I think both of us think he's going to have a week. So I'm going to go back to the guy I've been riding all year, which is JT. He kind of fumbled a little bit on Sunday afternoon on the back, but at that point Scotty had ran away with it. So I think he had to start being pretty aggressive. In that course, if you're not precise with how bad the rough was and some of the bunkers, like you didn't really have a chance. So I'm going to go with JT, though. He's got good history here. He's trending. It seems like it's his time. And like you said, this is a week where we talked last week about how some of the smaller guys have been winning this year, right? To have Scotty win last week, I think, to echo kind of what you said, we need a star to win this week.
Yeah, I think the Players is always fun, and people tune into it, and it's a very awesome fan experience. I think, we all understand the iconic 17th hole, but there's so many good holes. Pete Dye did just such a phenomenal job with that golf course, and it tests you. So I do think a ball striker is going to emerge. I think we have some players that are obviously trending. You look at Zalatoris doing great. You look at, some of these guys that are just on the cusp of breaking out, that's going to be interesting, right? I hope it's a dogfight. I hope it's not another blowout, but you never know at Sawgrass.
That final stretch there, not even just 17, right? But you could even go back to 15 through 18. That's a tough track on Sunday afternoon. Like, you know, I feel like the most
sorry not to interrupt you, but I think 14 is the most underrated hole.
14 too. Even most of probably the whole back nine. It's not an easy track. But on Sunday afternoon, it seems like the most memorable players tournaments for me, it's always comes down to the wire, if not goes to a playoff. And I think that's because there's so much trouble trying to get it to the clubhouse that, like, no lead is really safe. So I'm looking forward to it. I think 17 is going to be fun this week. It was interesting listening to Scotty talk about it, how at practice rounds he's like, how do you miss this green? But then you go out there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's like, well, there's wind off the right. Like, this just got a little more difficult. So, yeah, 17 gets blown up, but it is nice every year to hear the players say, like, yeah, in theory, this is an easy hole, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just a great golf course. Jack's community does a great job of making it an amazing vibe. It's fun. It's not to that extreme of the waste management. I think it's right at that perfect blend of a fun atmosphere. It's entertaining. The fans get a little chirpy, but they know that line because it's still the home of the PGA Tour.
So, home of the PGA Tour, obviously Jay speaks this week. First time since Tour Championship, talking about June 6th and all the deals that are going on. And I know that we don't get into it too much, and I don't think we necessarily have to, but I feel like me and you haven't talked about this even off camera, so I'm curious of your opinion. Do you think he should answer some of these questions or be a little more open about these deals, or do you understand why he can't be and he has to hold some information close to the chest until some of these things get completely finalized?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's disappointing because you would love to have him just be fully transparent, but this entire thing hasn't been transparent. All I care about is that at some point, the best in the world are playing against each other at all times. Jay did say, right, they're in the process of coming to an agreement, and we've been hearing that for a while, but if that truly means that there's something on the horizon, I'm optimistic because I do want to see golf win. I don't really care which tour or if it's a new tour. Obviously, we see Wyndham talking about it. We see Rory talking about it. Hey, let's have less players. I believe that narrative is going to come to fruition at some point, and there's going to be a tour that is smaller in size, probably no cut, and it's going to be the best of the best competing. I believe that's going to have players from LIV. I believe that's going to have players from the current PGA Tour, probably some players that play a majority of their time on the DP, but anybody that would be in that Super Tour is already playing primarily on the PGA Tour. So yeah, I think at some point there will be something. I'm just over it, right? Like if you ask me a question, hey, what do I think? I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to be cagey. Now, maybe there's things that they can't discuss, and that sounds like what Jay's saying is like, I'm not at liberty to disclose that. Well, you also said on June 6th there was going to be an agreement. Then there's not. Now there's an ejection of money from another group, and now we're still talking about an agreement with the PIF. Like, enough is enough, guys. Let's just get everybody in a room. Let's sort it out. I don't care about the new policy board and who's on Ogilvy or no Ogilvy or Tiger. That doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me as a fan is to know that there's going to be more than 4 times a year where I'm going to see the best players in the world play. And right now, it is completely impossible to say that that's what's happening in the elevated events. There are players outside of the PGA Tour that we're all excited to see play. Joaquin Niemann is on fire. And when Joaquin Niemann comes to Augusta, it's going to be amazing, right? I think that's great. Do I think some other players on LIV might step up more if they competed more? Yes. But there's not this PGA Tour, LIV, Super Tour. Like, none of us know. And I'm kind of worried for golf because the casual golf fan doesn't know what to tune into. Should they have watched Bay Hill? Should they have watched LIV? Should they be paying attention to the Asian Tour this week because some of those guys are playing? It's diluting the product, and it's not helping any of us.
So growing up, I watched the API on TV, and it's always been one of my favorite tournaments. I've always loved Arnold Palmer, and I got to go this week, first time ever. Amazing. And to see these guys that you love watching and that like inspire you to play, and it's an elevated event. It's supposed to be that. It's not a major, but it's right there, right? It's the elevated event. The lack of buzz on Sunday all day was a little disappointing, man. And I don't have the answers on why that is. Is it because Brooks and DJ and Waka weren't there? Maybe. Honestly, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. Like, something was off this week. Don't get me wrong, the event was still good. And I still think golf won this week. And I think we use that term all the time, whether golf won or lost. Golf won this week, I think. And but from a fan's perspective, and that's what I'm trying to get at here is the PGA Tour players and the LIV guys, they won because they got money, they got taken care of. But the fan lost and is still losing. Like, Jay kind of stumbled on that a little bit. Like, yeah, the PGA Tour is changing and he's doing good things for the players, no doubt. But for the fan, me, who I watch every week, I track Ricky every week, like, I'm losing. And it's because the best players in the world are not playing against each other every week. So my message to Jay, who will probably never hear this, would be figure it out, get everybody back together. And I'm going to say something that's crazy because last week I was talking about probably something that was on the line of like, yeah, get all the best players together and do no cuts. Knowing that I was going to see Ricky play on Sunday and him having to go birdie on Friday to make the cut, you can't get rid of the cut. That's still exciting.
Love that. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think when you listen to some of these players talk, the cut's extremely important to those custodians of the game, the Jack Nicklauses, the Arnold Palmers, the guys that came up. And that's one of the talking points against the other tours is like, let's have a cut. So whether it's the Genesis needs to have a cut, I know they have a cut, but it's not really that big of a cut. I like a cut. I think it's awesome. The other thing that I do think needs to get better and is getting better is the broadcast. I was super excited to see Smiley bring in Jordan into the booth, and obviously I think it's amazing. I'm not sure it's announced yet, but Kiz maybe taking that job is going to be amazing because, as he says, right, it ain't no hobby. And if he approaches announcing like it isn't a hobby, I think the golf fan wins. And that's why we tune in, for the stories, for the different perspectives, to hear Jordan talk about certain shots or to hear Smiley be willing to roast himself in his golf swing. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we want, right? To put Max Homa and Jordan into the booth, it was an excellent idea. So maybe Jay and Yasser can't figure it out, but let's have the broadcast figure it out. Let's have the fans start to figure out, hey, who am I rooting for? And then go and support that person like it's you loving the Yankees in preseason. You're so excited and you're talking about it like it's not like you don't have 300 freaking games to watch these guys, but you're still obsessed, right? That's what we want. Right now, it just feels like another event. And that is not to take anything away from the players. I just think that we need to make these events more special, and we're going to this week. That's why Minwoo's going to cook. It's going to be amazing. We're going to tune in. You're a Ricky guy, so you tune in for Ricky. I just implore everybody that's a fan, tune in for your guy. If you're somebody that's guy is no longer on the PGA Tour, then go and support them and really be a fan of them, because right now golf needs fans of the future superstars. Everybody's a fan of Rory, but how many fans do we have of Will Zalatoris and his comeback? How many fans do we have like me who love Minwoo? Or how many fans do we have to see the comeback of JT, right? Golf in general is getting better. I think we see something amazing, like the Netflix documentary has made more and more people a fan of Joel Damon. It's amazing, right? Without that media, we wouldn't have had people be that big of a fan of Joel Damon. So maybe that's more what I'm saying is let's figure out how to create content around these players and have some fans.
Real quick, just want to shout out Chad Mumm, producer of Full Swing, who his company just bought Scratch Golf. They're working pretty closely with the PGA Tour. I've followed him for a bit now, and I've seen what he's done, and that is a huge move for the future of golf. And I know that the average golf fan isn't going to necessarily know who that is, but they know what Full Swing is. And if you liked Full Swing, the fact that this guy's getting more involved with PGA Tour media, golf media, that is a very good thing for the game of golf. So my last thing for you that I just noticed this week was Viktor Hovland is drawing a pretty substantially big crowd. Sunday all day, he had a massive, massive following. He's a guy that's been rumored to go to LIV, all that stuff. When you think about the future stars of the game, and he certainly is one of them, does it worry you at all with the landscape of everything? Do you think that this affects him, like week to week, because they do play so much on the PGA Tour? And lastly, do you think it could affect his play with all of this stuff going on?
I mean, I think it doesn't matter to me where a player plays. I want to see good golf, and I'm a fan of good golf. So if Viktor chooses to leave the PGA Tour and go and play, I hope everybody that's a fan of his continues to be a fan of his. I hope that he figures out kind of what's going on in his game right now, and he has a little bit of a resurgence. But he is definitely one of the superstars, and he's amazing. And I think it's awesome that he has such a good following. Do I think some of the off-course stuff affects these players? Yeah, I mean, we'd be crazy not to look at how it affected Rory, and I think Chad did a great job of showing that in the Full Swing, right? So, yes, there is more to this game of golf for the best in the world than just what they do Thursday to Sunday. And Viktor's making some changes, right? He made some changes to his team. He's making some changes to his golf swing. And do I think that if he figures it out, there's a chance that he wins multiple times this year on the PGA Tour? For sure. Do I think there's a chance that if he figures it out, he wins multiple times this year on LIV? For sure. Wherever he plays, he's going to win. He's that good.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I just thought it was awesome to see that. I was watching him on Sunday, and just somebody was like, man, who's that over there? Because you just see a crowd just like running down the fairway. And I was like, and at this point, it's like 10 a.m. Look over, it's Viktor Hovland. I was like, holy crap. So good for Viktor.
He's just so happy, right? All the time, so happy. It's infectious. People model other people's energy, right? Tiger was amazing, and everybody wanted to see Tiger play because it was almost like this superhero, right? Viktor is not in that level of Tiger yet, but people want to watch him play because it looks fun. He's having fun. So, yeah, I can see why he would generate a huge fan base.
Yeah. And my last question for you. So on 17, hole-in-ones this week, how many do you think? And then on Sunday, down the stretch, how many guys do you think hit it in the water?
I mean, you're a Ricky guy, so I'm not going to bring up history here. But do I think that there's a potential chance for someone leading to hit it in the water? No.
Really?
No.
I was going to say within the last 5 groups on Sunday, I'm going to say 2.
I think you have a better chance of seeing someone make a mistake on 16 than you do someone make a mistake on 17. I think you have a chance to see a change in the leaderboard through 13, 14, 15, and then that becomes the pressure cooker, so 16. I think most of the time, whoever wins the tournament will play conservative on 17 to get their par and get out of there. The potential for someone to dump it in the water, probably more likely to happen Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The potential for a hole-in-one is the exact same. Do I think that the tournament comes down to a water ball? No. But if it did, I'm saying that water ball is on 16 or tee shot on 18, not 17.
Okay. Hole-in-ones. I'm going to go with 1 for the week.
Are we talking about a relevant player or
It doesn't matter.
in
Anyone
contention?
in the field. Anyone in the field Thursday through Sunday, hole-in-ones. I'm going to go with 1.
I mean, while we're recording this, there's probably a caddy making a hole-in-one right now.
In
So,
tournament.
In the tournament, do I think there's someone that makes a hole-in-one? Yeah. That hole-in-one could be on number 3, though.
No. I'm saying strictly 17.
Okay.
Strictly 17.
Understood. Yes, there will be a hole-in-one on 17.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Friday's pin location.
Did you see the marquee groups for this week?
No.
So marquee groups are Ricky, Scotty, JT, and then it is Rory, Jordan, and I believe Victor Hovland.
That's awesome.
If you wanted to do something for the fans, right? You want to give them something to watch. I believe you can watch all groups. All groups are going to be live this week. At least from what I saw, it's 24 streams.
That's amazing.
And then 17 all day featured coverage. They're doing better because you shout out the broadcast earlier. They're doing better and it's noticeable. And from the fan base, it's really appreciated.
Yeah, I love it. I think the Players is going to be a nice turning point for the year for the golf fan to really get engaged. Obviously, everybody's engaged during the Masters, but good for the Players to create a viewing experience that is similar to the Masters because we all do love to stream and see shots and pay attention, have 17 on in the background, but you can be following Ricky, I can be following Minwoo, and we all can be tuning into those feature groups. I think it's amazing.
Yep. And any closing statements from you? Anything you want to say before going into this big weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is let's figure out the ranking. Because right now, there is no question in the world that Scotty Scheffler is number 1 by a mile. Now, the question you have to start to ask yourself is, where are we putting Joaquin Niemann in that list? Where are you putting the performance of some of these guys on LIV this past few weeks, right? Nice to see them play 3 in a row. It was great, right? So now where are we seeing these guys fall? I don't know. That's not for me. I'm not a power ranking guy, but if the odds don't replicate the ranking by Vegas for Augusta, that's going to tell you that the rankings are not correct. But if they give me the same odds that they should give me for Joaquin's ranking, I'm throwing the house on him.
Just as you said that, I'm thinking about this. Do you think, I'm curious if the listeners or followers would care, should we do power rankings? Should we do like a graphic and post it and do like our top 10 for the week?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I mean, I can give you my power ranking. Scotty by a mile.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Scotty. No, that's probably accurate. But no, I'm with you on the world ranking stuff. They got to get a handle on it at some point. You asked who would number 2 be. I would say Joaquin. Joaquin or John Rahm. That would be who I would have up there. But the world ranking points, I don't believe, suggest that. Maybe John's still up there somewhere, but
Yeah, and I mean, look, it doesn't really matter. I think there should be a ranking for who's trending, right? And so that ranking, right, gets hard because when you're Scotty now at the top and you continue to win, right, you've got him winning back-to-back weeks. Now that gap just gets so much farther apart, right? But where the rankings get exciting is in that 7 to 20th position, right? I know it's President's Cup year, so those rankings are important for the President's Cup, or would have been important if Mike Weir hadn't said that there's going to be no live player on his team. So now the rankings are irrelevant. But I believe similar to what happened at Augusta and how the committee decided to give Joaquin an invite. If Joaquin continues to do what he does and he's not selected for the President's Cup, that is just the most ridiculous thing that has ever been done.
yeah, and I'm going to echo that with even as it sits right now, Joaquin just keeps playing good golf, whatever, not necessarily winning. If the international team does not pick live players, it's the dumbest decision they could make. If the U.S. team is not strongly considering Brooks, Bryson, DJ, they're being very dumb. It doesn't matter what tour you play on. If you play good golf, you should be rewarded with events like that. The fact that Brooks got to play was, to me, important for golf. Knowing that you could play on whatever tour and still make the Ryder Cup team, you should still be able to make a President's Cup team. That is a dumb decision, and I hope that gets fixed before we get there.
Couldn't agree more, and I think that that's just one more reason for this deal to get sorted out. But in terms of watching golf this week, I hope everyone enjoys the golf. I hope that the players shows us some drama, and then I think we all get to take kind of like a breath from golf the following week. We might not, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have to do a podcast about the Valspar, but if we choose to, we might. But as we start to ramp up for the Masters, I think we start to have more conversations around players, the golf course, some things that are important to the fan and to all of us as golf enjoyers. If that is that like, can I say it like that? But like, I want to be a golf enjoyer. I want to enjoy golf. I want to consume golf from every possible media outlet and just continue to get excited that the game is growing.
100% agreed. I'm excited for this week. I'm excited for Augusta. I think it's going to be a great little stretch here. I just hope Ricky plays well this week, to be honest with you. He hit it okay over the weekend. Would love to see him play well. He has some good history here at the Players, so everybody wish me luck because my mental health depends on it.
Yeah, it'll be great. And everybody, you've heard our picks. You now are going to have to hold us accountable because if one of us has a player that misses the cut, there's going to be a punishment.
I like that. Are we still doing 1A, 1B, right?
Yeah, we both picked
Scotty.
the only pick for 1A.
Let's take Scotty out, though. So I'll do JT and Ricky, 1A, 1B.
Okay, and I'll take Minwoo. He's not a B, though. That's the unfortunate.
It's okay. It doesn't have to be a B player. Just because my guy is a B player, you can take 2 A's for 1A, 1B.
Oh, so you're acknowledging that your player is a B player. I like that. You see how I walked him into that, guys?
Well, you have to be realistic, right? Like, he's had a rough go this year, but he's starting to slowly get it back. Right now, he's a B player. He's not an A player. But hopefully, sometime this summer, we see the A player, Ricky Fowler, back.
All right, and since we talked about President's Cup, we talked about that. I'm just going to keep it a theme from Down Under. I'm taking Jay Day and Minwoo Lee.
I like that. All right. Hold us accountable. And also, when we post this, let us know on the Instagram comments who you got.
Let's go golf.
And YouTube comments too. Comment on YouTube, please. Thank you.
Well, they first have to follow us on YouTube. You know? Shit.
You want to see how we do it in the pros?
Changing your swing is about repetition without repetition. You don't just hit 500 balls with this thing and change your swing. You also don't just hit 500 balls without a thought.
Welcome to Earned Not Given.